now. So if you couldn't, oh, there we are. It's the man behind the curtain. Hey folks, thanks so much for coming out tonight once again. Just a heads up, if I start hacking like I'm coughing up a lung, it's because I am. I'm getting a little something. So if I laugh, that's when it kicks in. So I gotta try and keep it a little down. But anyway, just so you know, don't worry. Last night we opened the Parish mission talking about our theme, the joy of living, or as Denise said, the joy of living with Father Ron. I thought, ask any of the 21 guys I live with and they would not say yes. But the joy of living, finding happiness. And brought this as an image, which I think is a beautiful image to kind of frame the spiritual life. That of the sunflower, turning itself. The lady said, it is always turning itself towards that which makes it most beautiful. Knowing that of all the things it could be turned to, it gives itself to the sun, and therefore takes on the radiance and the beauty of the sun. That's how it works. And that's that kind of image of the spiritual life that I think we're all on. Kind of how do we turn our life? Because the more we do turn ourselves to the Son of God, to Jesus, the more we're in line with Him, the more we take Him on, right? I mean, the more beautiful we become, joyful, restful. That's what it's all about. It's very simple, actually. And the joy of that kind of living, it comes sometimes in these big, overwhelming things. But I was thinking today, because of something that happened, oftentimes that kind of joy in God happens really in kind of small, little ways, all the time, if we're aware of it. You know, I was reminded of that. I was at the store here today. I was getting a thing of yogurt. And I don't know if you buy yogurt, but there's like 350 varieties of it. So you're trying to find the one that I like. When someone taps me on the arm, and I turn around, and it's this little old lady. And she said, "Excuse me, sir." I was just wearing whatever, jeans or shirt. And she goes, "Excuse me, sir." She goes, "Can you reach up there and get the red striped yogurt for me? I can't reach it." And I said, "Oh, yeah, no worries, no problem." So actually it was kind of, behind, so I'm reaching up. And while I'm getting it, trying to move the other ones, she begins to talk to me. She says, "That's the best kind of all these yogurts. That's the best kind. That's what you should be eating." Like, "Mom?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's good." And she said, "Oh, it's better than good because this kind has no sugar, and sugar will kill you. And it has no thickeners. It's thickened by the purity of the milk itself." I'm like, okay, it's too much information. But I said, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You know who told me that? Dr. Oz." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice." And so I'm giving her the yogurt. And then I could tell, oh, I'm in for it, because she kind of got a little comfortable there on her cart. And she said, she put her arm on her cart. She said, yeah, she goes, "And you know what I like to do? I'll take it and I'll put a little cherry pie filling in there." She goes, "I'll put a little cherry pie filling in there. And sometimes I just drizzle a little honey." And she goes, "Oh, it's so good." And I go, "Well, isn't that a lot of sugar though?" She goes, "No, it's not sugar, it's fruit." I was like, "Oh, well, only one?" She said, "Yeah, my husband loves this." And I said, "Oh, I bet." She said, yeah. And I said, well, here, let me get more than just one then. And she said, oh, no, my husband passed away 6 months ago. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He liked this. Oh, yeah. Oh, love this. I miss him so much. And she starts just going on a little bit about it. And I said, yeah, that's how wonderful that you have so many memories, though. And she said, oh, yeah, it was wonderful. She said, are you married? I said, no. I said, I'm not married. And she said, what? She goes, a good-looking guy like you? Can we hug? I said, no. She went on her way. But, we were there probably, 8 minutes or something like that, which doesn't sound long, but it really is in front of a yogurt. But afterwards, I was just thinking, this is where joy comes. It's in those unexpected moments that God puts before us of people who need us. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow night. But afterwards, I thought, you know what? I didn't know anything about her, but I think just making that little bit of time, which is surprising because I have no patience at all. So the fact that it happened surprised me. But I did. And I was happy with myself that I did, actually. Maybe brought her a little joy. She's obviously lonely since her husband passed. And her whole story brought me a little joy. And right there, aisle 7, we had a little joy. That's the joy of living. Really, you put those kinds of moments together if we recognize them and give ourselves to them, and we have a whole pot of joy. When we turn ourselves, we become more joyful. So the question tonight we're going to be asking is, how? How do we do that? How do we turn ourselves and give ourselves to Jesus, to the Son of God, more completely in our lives? It's hard. You know that, and so do I. And the question has been asked forever and ever. In the Gospels, people ask Jesus that all the time. This is one right here. It's Luke chapter 10. Jesus was asked, what must I do to inherit everlasting life? Now that's the ultimate joy, right? So what must I do to be able to move myself to experience that, to embrace it? Jesus answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. And your neighbor as yourself. Love the Lord your God with everything you have. Turn yourself to him at all times. That's number 1. Number 2, love your neighbor as yourself. Number 3, God, neighbor, and self. I need a volunteer. Come on. You know what this is? This is a bike lock. I want you to open it. Do you think you can do it? No, what? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can do it. I'll give you 2 seconds. Okay, you didn't do it, did you? No, that's impossible. But, listen, I'm going to give you the numbers. Okay, then you'll do it. It's a heavy lock, but I think it'll work. It's easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a good lock. That's the lock that I use on my bike that my little nephew borrowed. But it's a really good bike, so I have a really good lock to hold it. And nobody can get through it, unless, of course, like him, you got the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Now just pull it apart. Come on, here, you get one out. Okay, pull. Okay, I don't think that's working. Yeah, and you know why it's not working? I gave him the numbers. All the numbers are there. The problem that I didn't give you is the sequence of numbers. So actually it's 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. Now open it. Awesome. Good job. Right there. Good job, boys. What's your name again? Alex. How you doing, Alex? Yeah. 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. See, you can have all the numbers, but without the right order of them, it stays locked. Every single thing you need is right there, right in line, just not in the right order. All of the ministry of Jesus was, I believe, helping people sequence their life. People who came to him like this, people like you and me gathered in this church, we love God. That's why we're here. We also love one another, we love ourselves, we love people who love us, and all of that is really good. But I think the Christian life and the challenge of it is putting God first in that, and then moving backwards. And when we do that, when the sequence is right in our life, that is when the blessings were unlocked. You know, that's when the favor flows into our life. God first, others second, me third. And you know why it's so hard to do, at least for me? Because it's so easy to put ourselves first, isn't it? We're always kind of self-engraved. Always looking for, we want to be first in line, we want to be first to eat. Go to any airport and you'll see it everywhere. You know, everyone, when the flight's ready, zone 1, zone 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 pile in because they want to get the first on the plane. Right? When they get on the plane, then it's all about them getting their luggage in the aisle and everyone's backed up because there's a less of an understanding and appreciation that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. That's why the sunflower, again, it's never pointed unto itself. It's always pointed to God. You know what the opposite of a sunflower is as an image? Isn't that true? Oh man, you see these things, these selfie sticks all over the place. Now I don't, but I used to when people had the sticks or just the camera and there's like 2 or 3 of them and they're trying to get themselves. And I was like, oh hey, you want me to take that picture for you? And now, no thanks. We'd rather have a selfie. You know, it's all about kind of the gaze upon oneself. So that's the challenge. How do we move ourselves away and put God first? Proverbs says it beautifully. This is the 3rd chapter of Proverbs. In everything you do, put God first, and he will direct you and crown your efforts with success. How do we do that? I met a couple, Ann and Gordon. They were like 90-something years old. They were in a nursing home. I was doing a mission somewhere. And I was visiting some parishioners in the nursing home, and the nurse there said, oh, Father, you got to come by and give a little blessing. I know they'd enjoy it. To a couple who are celebrating their whatever anniversary they had together as a married couple, a long time, like 50, 60 years. I go there, walk into the room, and family was there, balloons and cake and everything. It was a wonderful celebration, as it should be. They, Ann and Gordon, were both in wheelchairs I think it was 75. I think that was the wedding anniversary. It was just unbelievable, which is why I had to go, you know, just to see this. So I go in there, I'm kind of making my way around, saying hi, and I end up by Gordon, the husband. You know, he's there in his wheelchair, and he's having a great old time. And I introduced myself, we talked a little bit, and I said, hey, Gordon, I said, tell me, what's the key to this? 75 years of marriage when, as we know, the 50-60% of marriages end in divorce within the first 5 years. 75? What's the key? What can I tell people? And without blinking an eye, Gordon said, oh, that's easy, Father. We've been married 75 years, and the key to a beautiful marriage is drugs. And I was like, oh, I kind of laugh and then kind of pause, waiting for something more substantial. Good drugs, he said. Good drugs. Okay, well, I guess that's that. So anyway, I said goodbye. I made my way over to Anne on the other side of the room, talking to her, asked her the same question. Anne, what's the key to this? 75 years, that's awesome. And she said, well, Father, it's just been a long time. And she goes, every evening, we'd always have a little glass of bourbon. She said, a little glass of bourbon, and then we'd share a cigar. I was like, really? A cigar? Mm-hmm. And that was it. The key to a good marriage, drugs, booze, and cigars. Right there. That's our lesson tonight. Good drugs, cigars. No, but anyway, that was it. I get back home, and like a few weeks later, I get a little note in the mail. I have it, now this happened, I'm going to say like 7 years ago. I still have it in my Bible. I love it. It was from an old person. I don't know who. Old, because you could tell just the scribbly kind of chicken scratches. And so it was on the envelope. I open it up, and the only thing that was in there was a little prayer card, and it had Jesus on the front, a beautiful picture of Jesus. No prayer on the back, just white, but just Jesus. And I turned it over, and all it said was, this is the key, Anne. Isn't that lovely? This is the key, Anne. That's where we're going. So how do we do that? How do we turn ourselves to that key in our life? So prayer is where I'd like to open up a little bit this evening. If we are not people of prayer, you do not know Jesus. Right? You might know of him. You might have some tangential kind of relationship. No, not a relationship, a Facebook friendship. But you don't have a relationship with Jesus. And oddly enough, that is the only thing that Jesus wants from you. That's it. What does it mean to be a person of faith? What does it mean to be a good Catholic? To be a Christian, a disciple of Jesus? It has nothing to do with rules and regulations and obligations. All of that's important. I'm not saying it's not important. But you could do all of that and still have no relationship. That's the cornerstone of faith. Jesus knew it, which is why in scriptures you always read of Jesus getting away from things so that he can pray, so that he could remain in relationship with his Father. He knew what you know, and I know, that if we don't do that, we get swept up in all of this stuff going on, and then we lose our focus. Then we're not pointed anymore out there to him. We're pointed someone very different. Jesus, it would always say in Scripture, Jesus got into the boat and he went to the other side of the lake, away from all the ministry and the crowd, so that he could be quiet. Or it says Jesus went up on the mountain to pray. Why not down below? Because that's where his life was. He needed to step out of that to find that quiet place, to be centered. And there's a great line in Luke where Jesus was coming down one day from the mountain from prayer. And I guess there was such a radiance about him. There was something about his countenance that the disciples say, in Luke it says, they saw him coming down from the mountain and they went to him and said, Lord, teach us how to pray. I love that. They knew he was praying, and all they knew is that when he was finished, there was something so beautiful about him. And they wanted that. They didn't ask him, Lord, teach us to raise dead people to life. Lord, teach us to cure sick people, to do incredible things. No, what they wanted is something much deeper, much more joyful. Teach us. So Jesus knew it. We know it. That prayer is about relationship. And I think I go on missions all over, and I'll ask people in groups or individually, it's like, hey, do you pray? And I'm always kind of surprised how many times the response comes back, oh, yeah, well, I try. And kind of jokingly I say, oh, well, do you try to eat? Or do you try to wake up? Or do you try to go to work? You try. We got to do more than try if we want to experience the love of Jesus in our life. More than that. Think of someone you love. Someone who means a great deal to you in your life. Maybe they're sitting next to you right now. Maybe they're far off. Who is that person in your life that brings you joy? Now, why is that? Why? Why that person of all the other people? There was something that connected you at some point, obviously. And then there was an interest, but what's the thing that we all do that forms relationships? We make the time to be with them. We go out to movies. We go to dinner. When you're in love and trying to get even more of the friendship. You come up with ways to be able to get together. Hey, you want to go to the state fair? Because we all love those, But it's an opportunity to be with my beloved, That kind of thing. We do it with one another. And the more time that we spend, the more we open ourselves up, the deeper and deeper that relationship goes. It's like a marinade. Like a good marinade. You got the piece of beef or chicken or whatever it is, and then you set it in all of the juices, whatever it is that you kind of whip together with the spices and all the flavors, and you set it in there, and then you let it rest. You can't set it in, flop it over, take it out, and expect it to absorb all that goodness. You gotta let it set. 12 hours, overnight even better, because the longer it sets, the more it absorbs. The more it's in there, the more it takes it on. That's prayer. So that is where we as Christians, as people of faith, that's where we need to go. Not Facebook friendships, real friendships. There's a friend of mine, her name is Jill. And I don't really know her as much as I know Jill's mom. We're good friends. But Jill got on my Facebook page or whatever, and at some point way back, I accepted her. And so she's one of these people, if you're on Facebook, she's one of these people that puts everything, just dumps everything and puts 15 or 20 posts a day. The most ridiculous post, ran out of coffee. My head itches. That was one. But the one that blew it over the edge was, mayonnaise on a toasted cheese? What? I was telling a friend, oh my gosh, these people that do that. And he's like, Ron, he goes, just unfriend her. And I was like, yeah, I thought that, but I don't want to hurt her feelings. And no, he said, that's the beauty of it. You unfriend her, you don't see anything, and she won't know. Bingo! Yeah. So I ran home and I got on Facebook, and sure enough, I figured out how to unfriend. Boom, you are no longer friends with Jill Eichhorn. Next morning, this is true, next morning I get a phone call, and it came up unknown. And usually I don't answer those, but because oftentimes it might be a mission or a parish somewhere, and I want to answer it. So I was like, well, answer. Why did you unfriend me? Why did you unfriend me? I knew exactly, of course. But I played the dumb card, I was like, what? Who is this? Do you know who this is? This is Jill Eichhorn. You unfriended me. Why? And I was like, oh God. I said, I don't know. I'm such a ditz. I was on Facebook just kind of clicking around, and I guess something happened. But anyway, hey, let's get back. I want to be friends. I want to hear all about your itchy head. So Jill goes, oh no. So I said, yeah, no, I was just hitting around. I guess I inadvertently did it. Sorry. She goes, no, you didn't, because when you unfriend someone, she said, a post comes up that says, are you sure? And I said, well, I was a little drunk last night. But we all have those Facebook friends, whether it's on Facebook or not, but Instagram friends or, people that are kind of there, but not really. What Jesus wants, from the beginning of time, what God has wanted from his people is relationship. It's all he wants. It's all he wants. You turn to me and I will be all over you. There are some beautiful psalms talking about that. That one, the Psalm 139, it says, oh Lord, you have probed me and you know me. You know when I sit, when I stand, even before a word is on my tongue, you know it, O Lord. For you formed my inmost being, knit me together in my mother's womb. And it goes on and on. Such a beautiful, tender, and that's it. It's a God who graciously formed you and set you abroad, put so much beautiful things in your life, and all God says is, now don't forget me. And then we go off. I'd like to talk for just a few moments here, remaining, about some practical ways that we might stay to him. Now, all of prayer, in whatever form it might be, all of prayer is a giving of attention to God. Right? That's all it is. So don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, in other words. Because the truth, this is just life, but the truth is this, that whatever you place your attention on increases in your life. Isn't that true? Whatever you keep thinking about in your life, whatever it might be, you will move more and more toward it. So if all you want and desire, all you're thinking about is getting as much money as possible, being as rich as possible, you'll probably get there, or at least far beyond a lot of other people, because that's where your mind is, that's where your attention is focused. Not a bad thing. Or if you're trying to lose weight, you can't have pictures of delicious food all over, because you will never, ever lose weight. Because you see the food and you're tempted. It's like an alcoholic trying to get over that, and you spend time in saloons or a bar. Do they have saloons anymore? Whatever. But a bar or a pub. You know, you're not going to stop drinking. So whatever you give your attention to, and that's good and bad, is it not? You know, if you're always thinking about beautiful things, kindness, if you're around people who are optimistic people, you know what happens? You become more optimistic and hopeful. You know, if you want to get really good grades, but you're hanging around kids that don't care about their grades and are mediocre, you know what's going to happen? You're not going to get those good grades. Whatever you give your attention to increases in your life, for good or bad. I remember I was at this is a bad way, but I was at an airport once, and I never get candy bars. You know, I love it, but I never get them. Once in a great while. And this particular while, I got it. It was one of those giant Kit Kat bars. You know what I'm talking about? I love Kit Kat. Never get it, like once a year. So I got one of those at one of the stores for $22. And I go to the gate where I'm going to be heading out. And so I sit down, and there's this guy, a younger guy, like 26, something like that. And he's kind of sitting across the little table from the thing. And so we start up this conversation, and, you know, we're talking about this and that, all this kind of stuff. Oh, no, he goes, that's how it started. He goes, oh, Kit Kat bar, I love those. I was like, yeah, I never get them. He goes, yeah, I'm the same way. And then it went from there. Had a great conversation. He does these triathlons, I do, and we're on. So I hear, it's like, you know, okay, getting ready to board, yada, yada. And I said, okay, hey, would you mind watching this really? I had a computer bag, I had another bag, I had all this stuff. I'm going to hit the restroom really quick. And I said, yeah, no worries. I run to the bathroom. When I come out and come back, he's not there. He's in the line because they called his zone or what have you. But, nice guy, he was watching it and looking for me and, you know, like, okay, nice guy. So he goes onto the plane, I get my stuff. And there's no Kit Kat bar. I know. He's on the plane. He took it. He took my Kit Kat. Who takes someone's Kit Kat bar? You know? You don't do that. You rob a bank, whatever, but you don't take a Kit Kat. I mean, I was, you know, like he's not going to know that I know, and we're on the same plane, and, you know. So I grab my stuff, I throw it in, I get onto the plane. I'm sitting about 2 seats back. We're both on the aisle, as it turns out. So he's there, I'm just behind him. So this is what I do. I turned into my mother. Oh my gosh, turned into my mother. I gave him the passive look, like, I'm disappointed in you. You know, I kind of just had all my bags, and I just stopped and that's as bad as I am, you know, kind of thing. But so I go and sit in my seat, and so the plane's taking off, and then he kind of looks back, and I go, did you take my guys? I like, did you? Because I'm thinking Kit Kat, and oh, this is infuriating, and I'm looking at it, you know, the whole time. I said, did you take my Kit Kat bar? He goes, what? I said, the Kit Kat bar, did you? He goes, no, I didn't take it. And he turns back around. He took it. So we're sitting there a while. He pulls out Kit Kat bar. Opens up the Kit Kat bar. I swear to God, this happens. Opens up the Kit Kat bar. You want some? He offered me a little Kit Kat. I said, no, I don't want that Kit Kat bar. And I just looked at him like, oh my God. Okay. Oh, that really, you know, I couldn't believe that. But anyway, so the flight goes on, I go up and I open the thing to get my computer and all that, and I get my bag, slide the computer out, the Kit Kat bar slid Oh my gosh. Just slams right onto the floor. The guy. He looks back. That was the worst. Oh my God. No, I just said, I'm sorry. Like, talk to the hand. But, oh my God, but it reminded me, we do, or I do, we judge people all the time. Small little ways and big ways. And because it wasn't there, I forgot I slid it in there. All of a sudden I've come up, I thought, well, did he? And then suddenly, yeah, he did. Oh my, he's a thief. And this huge thing expands because that's what I'm believing and that's what I'm giving my attention to. And sure enough, it expands and expands, and I've already put him in the locker. What we turn toward, we move toward. Prayer is placing our attention upon God. There's this great, in one of the scriptures, it is the woman, the sinful woman. That gospel, she comes, she filled with sin and the burden of it, and she feels it. And she needs Jesus for whatever reason. She finds him in the home of someone having dinner. You remember this gospel? And so she makes her way into the house, which is rather bold and brazen. She makes her way in the house. Everyone knew that she was a sinner, prostitute, probably. She goes in there, she finds Jesus, and without saying a word, she goes to him, and she simply places herself at Jesus' feet. Doesn't say a word. She just cradles herself next to Jesus because all she wants is to feel him, to hold him, to smell him, to be one with him. She just knows she needs this. Then she takes the oil and takes her long, beautiful hair and massages his feet with the oil. It's this gorgeous relationship without a word being uttered. God, it's fantastic. And I keep thinking about that's our model of what it means to spend time with Jesus in prayer. Just simply making the time to be with him. Isaiah, the great prophet Isaiah, that's what he says twice or three times in the scripture. He says, pay attention, come to me, listen, that you may have life. Come to me, listen, and you will know the joy of living. We're going to move towards the first thing tomorrow. We're going to move towards the 5 practical ways that we can turn ourselves like that with Jesus in prayer. Some really creative things that I know will help you as they've helped me. But let me end here because I promised you this. But prayer, now we're going to go into that individual prayer where we move our life to him and he comes closer to us. But there's also prayer in which we help others, right? Intercessory prayer. Those envelopes for the collection, that's what we do at home. We lift up your prayers for you. Well, that opportunity came in a weird way. This was a couple of years ago. I was doing a mission down in Birmingham, Alabama. And I just got done with a run. I was running, exercising. So I went, and it ended near that Walmart. So I go into one of those super Walmarts. And I went just to wash myself up, and I was going to get a few things. So I go into the bathroom, and like everything at Walmart, it's bigger than it needs to be, kind of deal. So I walk in, fast and huge, nobody in there, which I liked. So there's like 15 sinks and a huge plate glass mirror that goes in front of all of them, and then stalls and all this. So I walked in, like, wow, that's weirder than you. So I go to the end sink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, or 15. So I go there and I'm washing my hands when I hear a flushing sound. Door swings open from a stall and out comes this bald guy. He was probably maybe 30, 28, something like that. He comes out of the stall and then he comes right, and the mirror's here, I'm here, and I see him. And he comes right behind me and then turns and uses the sink right next to me. Now, you don't do that, okay? You at least give it a sing or something, especially when you have 14 to choose from, right? You know, I like my space, you know. So anyway, but he comes, clicks on the water, and, you know, I kind of look up like you do, and then he looked up in the mirror, and so our eyes kind of hit, and then you do what guys do, you're just like, hey. You know, and I know, well, I guess for women it's a little different, I don't know, it's just, every time I'm out with my friends who are female, you know, they're like, oh, excuse me, I have to go to the restroom. And all the other girls or all the other, oh, I'll go with you. I always wonder what happens in there. You know, it's way different than the men's side, at least in mine. But anyway, so it's like, so we go down, and then he pauses and steps back and says, excuse me, sir, can I ask you a personal question? I don't know why this stuff happens to me, but it does. You know, we're in a bathroom, really, you know? And I say, well, I'd rather you didn't. Because it's true. I'd rather you not. He doesn't hear it, and he says, are you a man of prayer? No, are you a man of faith? Are you a man of faith? And before I could, you know, say anything, he goes, will you please pray for me? I've lost my way. And now all of this that I'm about to tell you happened in my head in a matter of seconds. You know how these things go. So will you pray for me? I've lost my way. And I'm thinking, part of me wants to respond generously and, yeah, I want to help you. But the other side of me thinking, this is a joke. You know, right? I'm being punked or something, you know, am I being filmed? And so I go, yeah, sure I will. Thinking I will, but not there, you know. So I went to move around to go to the towels when he grabs my hands by the wrist. He grabs my hands and he puts them on his head and bows down like this. And he says, no, now. And I'm sure he felt me tugging away, but it was the moment he bowed down that I could see the tears splatter on the floor below him. So my hands are on his head, and he's bowing before me kind of thing. And so I'm praying, but I'm also thinking, as I'm praying, I hope no one comes in here. Because this looks really bad. And so I'm doing it for just a few seconds, then of course someone comes in. The door this way does. The door swings open. And I could hear him gasp. He goes, oh, God! And he runs back out. And I'm like, oh, God, okay, let's stop it. So we ask this through Christ our Lord. When the guy comes back in, followed by this big black guy, right? He was the security officer. He didn't have a gun or anything like that, but he had all the stuff, you know. He was the security officer for Walmart. Big old black guy. I mean, huge. He comes in, the guy goes, there they are, like that, and points to us like animals. So the black guy comes over, and he goes, what's going on? The guy, the bald guy says, he's praying for me, please, I've lost my way. When the black guy goes, well, my daddy is a Baptist minister. I'm going to pray for you too. And he steps up and he puts his gigantic hands on top of my hands, on top of the guy. And I'm looking in the mirror. You know, there we are, an old guy, a black guy, and a priest. And we're all praying in a Walmart bathroom. I don't know. But it can't be far from what happened today with the yogurt lady, you know? I mean, God places, it's not just me. You know, God places people before us, and it's when we respond. And you know, part of me is glad that I did take the time, but the other part of me was saddened because my immediate reaction was about me. Oh, is someone making fun of me? Am I going to look goofy? All this. I don't like that. But it comes up. That was the other part. But I'm working on it. I am. But that's what God gives us, those moments all the time. Part of prayer is that as well. Tomorrow night we're going to talk about more the individual prayer and how do we get filled by the Spirit in some kind of creative ways. And also going to be talking, I told the kids I'm going to talk about a guy I met in a subway in Chicago who was absolutely crazy. He was dressed in all of this crown of thorns. He was carrying a cross, yelling. But oh my God, what a profound experience of the proclamation of God's message. Oh God, awesome. Anyway, that's tomorrow night. I want to thank you tonight for coming. I think you all got a prayer card. And we're going to close out tonight with this prayer. And at the end of it, I know some of our students from the school are going to help me proclaim the I believe. Together, Lord Jesus, transform me into your self. May my hands be your hands. May my words be your words. Grant that everything I do may serve only to glorify you. I pray you to destroy in me all that is not of you. Help me live my life in you, and by you, and for you, and that I may truly say to St. Paul, I live now, not I, but Christ lives in me. Amen. I pray this every morning. It's a great way to begin. Lord, turn me to you. Folks, come on back. We're going to close it out, our little 3-day mission tomorrow night. We're going to continue with prayer and also hit upon the service as well. How do we make others second? It's a great night. Thanks for coming tonight. The Lord be with you. Let's stand and pray. The Lord be with you. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Awesome. Thank you, children.
Thank you, Father Ron.